Ladies and gentlemen, we just recently concluded over the weekend one of the largest fighting game tournaments of all time. I'm talking, of course, about Evo Japan, the Japanese counterpart to the Evo series. So it's been a few years now where they've added Evo Japan, where Evo Vegas is sort of, in my opinion, still considered the main Evo Vegas, which this year featured over 7,000 attendees for Street Fighter 6 alone, making it the largest, maybe competitive gaming event ever. And Evo Japan hosted, and of course, Japan is traditionally been after the competitive season for Street Fighter, so it's kind of like the final send-off for the competitive season after Capcom Cup has concluded, and it's hosted in Japan. And this year featured over 5,000 attendees, including some of the best of the best. You know, we have Tokido there. We also have Daigo the Beast, Uma, the reigning Capcom Cup champion, the first Street Fighter millionaire, Kakeru, one of the most consistent performers for the entire competitive season with his nasty JP. I think at this point, undoubtedly the best JP on the planet. Then, of course, American representatives as well. We had Punk to God, who had a really consistent season this year, coming off a third place Evo finish in Evo Vegas, and then Mena RD, potentially the most consistent player for the entire CPT season, coming off his second place finish at Evo USA, looking to potentially take his first Evo title ever at Evo Japan. He's also coming off a hot streak from winning Red Bull Kumite in the US, but he did have a disappointing result for Mena RD standards at Capcom Cup, only getting 13th place, but also winning Street Fighter League Worlds. So I think the Capcom Cup is like the one blemish on his record, and the second place at Evo is also, you know, the one thing that he wants to rectify with this tournament. But also remember, this is in Japan, the birthplace of Street Fighter and pretty much fighting games as a whole. So beyond just the known names that I mentioned there, and there's many other known names in this 5,000 plus man bracket, almost everyone here is good, right? There's so many players in this bracket who you may have never heard of, who are on the top of the online leaderboards, have winning sets over your favorite top international player. This tournament is stacked beyond belief, probably more stacked overall than Evo Vegas. I feel like Evo Vegas features a bit more of the top international talent, but the average level of play at Evo Japan cannot be understated. There's so many good players here from Japan and also international talent traveling in. So it's hard to call. It's almost always impossible to call who's going to come out on top of this type of tournament. But getting into it, we have Uma, the reigning Capcom Cup champion. So many people were wondering, like, how is he going to perform after winning the $1 million prize pool, the biggest prize pool in FGC history? And if you remember, he was invited to Red Bull Kumite after, but decided to instead hit up HoloLive, I think it is, the VTuber concert. So he had his priorities straight after Capcom Cup, so people were curious, can he repeat that success? So getting into his matches, unfortunately, he ran into a little known character called Admin Honda. Here we have Uma playing a couple of rounds into the tournament bracket, Yomi AZ as the Honda player on this setup here. And listen, Uma, I feel your pain. I feel your pain. He gets Honda a couple rounds deep by Yomi AZ over there. It ends up going to losers, probably earlier than people expected, as the reigning Capcom Cup champion, just a month or two after winning $1 million for playing Street Fighter 6. And then in losers, a couple rounds later, he's eliminated by Kion Tiagama. So this is a legend ranked Menard player. I had to dig a little deep to figure out exactly who this player was and to find some footage of them, but that ended up ending Uma's run at Evo Japan relatively early for what he was expected to do, right? 129th place for the Capcom Cup champion when he was seed number 4. So definitely a disappointing result for Uma, but that just goes to show, first of all, you know, we'll have to see if he can bounce back from this and establish some level of consistency. You know, Capcom Cup, it's one tournament. Being consistent is so difficult in this game. We've seen that time and time again with Street Fighter 6. Very few players have achieved any level of consistency, and it just shows how strong the field of competition is. You can run into a crazy good Japanese Honda player or Menard and just lose early compared to what you expect. So 129th out of 5,089 entrants for Uma at this Evo Japan. But what about our Lord and Savior, Daigo the Beast Umehara? How did he perform? Well, he lost to Moke in winners and Ebihara in losers, another player I'm not familiar with. So, you know, he bowed out early, but in this account, in this tweet in English that Daigo definitely wrote firsthand, he said, by the way, this year's setups were very good. No lag and clear audio, so it was stress-free. I hope the TOs share their monitor info and game settings so this quality setup becomes the norm. So, knocked out early, but took the moment to be very positive about the way the event was run, because actually historically Evo Japan has had a lot of bad press because many players have complained about the production, how the event is run, lack of AC, the quality of the setups. There have been many issues in the past for Evo Japan, especially compared to Evo USA and the quality of how the tournament was run. But it seems that not just Daigo here being very positive, it seems that many players are reporting and many attendees are reporting a much better experience this year at Evo Japan. So Daigo Umehara bows out at a respectable 49th place out of 5,000. And you know what? His seed, they're kind of on the nose. Seed 45, 49th place. Yeah, I guess the seeders kind of predicted the future with that one. As we continue, how did Punk the God do? So Punk, you know, he was super consistent with his big premiere showings and, you know, got 3rd place at Evo USA. Here he is in winners round 4 going up against Moke, who has been one of the best performing Japanese players this entire season and is no stranger to the Evo stage. He got top 8 at Evo in 2017 in Street Fighter V. Here's Punk trying to make a comeback here in this round and disaster.
What happened? What's happening?
So just as Daigo was praising the setups and the tournament experience, it appears Punk ran into a technical issue where his pad was disconnected from the PS5 as he got the hit to potentially make a comeback. I mean, he still had the odds stacked against him, but you know, that's always a terrible way to go out. Some kind of pad disconnect. I'm not sure the exact details. I don't want to put misinformation out there. I think there was some suggestion that because the PlayStation was overheating, there were some technical issues. I don't know the full details. I don't know if it was due to issue on Punk's end or the setup end. I don't actually know. But it's it sucks whenever you see technical issues like this come up, and then especially when he landed the hit. It only takes one hit to potentially make a comeback and get the momentum going, but this was the end of Punk's time in winners finals. He goes down to Moke plus technicality and drops into the losers bracket. And then moving on, a little bit of foreshadowing here. So this is an interesting photo from Hamood from Dubai saying he finally met Punk. There he is taking a selfie here with his boy Abood and also there Punk to God. And it's pretty interesting because Punk ended up being eliminated by Hamood. The next day, I believe, after going to losers from Moke, Hamood actually eliminated Punk. And Hamood is from the same scene as Big Bird and Angry Bird, who are both missing from this event. So Angry Bird and Big Bird did not attend Evo Japan here. You know, Angry Bird, the reigning Evo champion. But Hamood did, representing the Dubai scene. And he tweets here, I'm in top 24 losers. Had to beat Kosaku Kami, Ganakin Manon, Punk, and Hibiki the Beast. You might know Hibiki the Beast as the best Lily player on the planet. So Hamood making a huge run to get to top 24 losers. And not just that, he also, in winners before dropping to losers, took out Kawano in this amazing fashion. So you see here he gets the drive rush cancel, gets interrupted from the overhead, but he is not deterred. Gets in with the Hazanshu, fires back with the knuckle. Overhead, reset, overhead, combo to the legs into the level 3. The double overhead reset puts Kawano into losers. Kawano, the Evo 2023 final Street Fighter V champion, had an amazing run at Capcom Cup and actually got it, I believe, to 9th place at Capcom Cup or top 8 if I remember correctly, and also won the Japanese CPT Online Premiere. So that's essentially the largest Japanese tournament for Street Fighter 6 besides this one. So Kawano already proved that he has what it takes to win in these open bracket major Japanese tournaments against the Japanese competition. But Hamood coming out of Dubai puts him in losers. So that is a huge run for Hamood out of Dubai, showing that, you know, you can't just look at UAE and think of Big Bird and Angry Bird. Sorry, Evo 22 for Street Fighter V. Yes, correct. So you can't just look at UAE for Big Bird and Angry Bird. Hamood showing that there's more strong players out of that region. So huge plays to him. So that's an amazing run for him. But what about Tokido the Murder Face? How did he perform? Well, Tokido's been pretty consistent. You know, he also had, I believe, a 4th place finish at Evo 2023, 5th or 4th place. Always been very consistent in Street Fighter 6. And, well, he ran into an old friend. Mena RD. The murder phase versus the bull. The man who took the 2017 Capcom Cup championship away from Tokido, eliminated him at Evo as well, and drops him into losers bracket as well. So Mena RD and Tokido, this was a rivalry for quite some time, but it really feels like Mena RD is starting to just get the edge over Tokido and kind of the rest of the competition, to be quite honest. So another showdown between these two titans of modern Street Fighter, and Mena RD takes this one over Tokido. But moving on, what happens? Kakeru, the other most consistent Street Fighter 6 player and revenge from Evo 2023. If you remember, Kakeru was on the verge of eliminating Tokido in the top 6 stage, but after going for an overhead combo reset with JP's portal above him, the moon and the stars aligned, and somehow the portal whiffed on Tokido and allowed Tokido to escape that and then mash super to take this set away from Kakeru's hands. This Evo, no such luck for Tokido. Kakeru eliminates Tokido to carry on his losers run instead. So with all that information, that brings us to our actual top 6 qualifiers, because for some reason Evo is really trying to make top 6 happen instead of top 8. And that puts Kakeru, the Gamers 8 champion, one of the most consistent players this entire season, in top 6. Moke returns to the big stage at Evo as well and has had a really strong year in Japan, and solidifies that with this run. We also have Ryukichi up there on the winner side of top 6 versus Mena RD. Ryukichi has actually been having a really good streak in Japan. He won the Open Red Bull Kumite qualifier in Japan to win a flight to USA to do the play-in qualifier for Red Bull Kumite. But he's been doing great in Japan, winning a big open qualifying tournament in Japan, and now in top 6 winners of Evo Japan versus Mena RD, who's been on an absolute tear this entire season. But moving on to the final winner side top 6 match, VX Bao, who is the top JP out of China now, along with DC Cube, and has always been really consistent and has performed well in Street Fighter League USA, won Street Fighter League Worlds as well before, and also has done historically really well at Capcom Cup, up against Lexx. Now, beyond the fact that they are both kind of matching with the fabulous hair, who is Lexx? So if you have been paying attention to the UK scene, you might know a little bit about Lexx, but Lexx is a very, very interesting competitor, and I wouldn't blame you if you hadn't heard about Lexx prior to the statement. So Lexx is actually originally from the US. In fact, he used to, hang around with Pong, JB, Kami back in the day in 2018. I met him originally, and back then he used to just hang out for fun. He wasn't actually that strong of a competitive player in like 2017, early 2018. But very shortly after, I noticed he started to take a lot of international names. I believe he beat NL at final round 2019 and started to perform much better at a lot of US tournaments, but was still pretty low key. Then randomly during 2023, I saw the results for the World Warrior UK event number 5, and I saw that Lexx won the tournament. Lexx from New York won the CPT 2023 World Warrior UK and Ireland number 5. So that was a surprise to me. So apparently Lexx had gotten up and moved to the UK during the release of Street Fighter 6 and started competing in UK for the CPT region, and actually ended up qualifying for the regional finals. But before that happened, I actually made this video, an American zoner in London, because Lexx actually went to the CPT event, the online CPT event for the UK, and got 3rd in UK. So he's doing big work in the UK region, and at the UK regional finals, he also secured a 5th place finish as well. So suddenly he moved to UK and becomes one of the top competitors out of the UK region out of nowhere. And beyond that, these amazing accolades, you might have noticed something else. Doesn't he look a little bit similar to JB? Lexx is JB's younger brother. JB, top NA competitor for a long time, recently picked up by Cloud9, the dedicated top Rashid main from North America, the guy who double jeopardied Kakeru out of the Capcom Cup LCQ. That's his younger brother. So many people don't know that because Lexx has been so low key for so long. They are brothers, and at this time, while Lexx is making top 6 at Evo Japan, JB is competing at Level Up Expo in the US, and not only competing, he's winning the damn thing. So on opposite sides of the world, the brothers are dominating, getting top 6 out of 5,000 plus people at Evo Japan in a stacked event, and your brother winning in USA at the same time. I don't think I've ever heard of this kind of across the globe domination from siblings ever in the world of Street Fighter. So that is an absurd weekend for these brothers here. But beyond that, let's take a look at Lexx's run. So this amazing diagram here is from Inkross, who he shows off the runs that every player had to make top 8 at Evo Japan. And Lexx ended up beating Sako, a longtime legendary fighting game player and execution technical monster Sako. Then he beat Lashar, the 4th place finisher at Capcom Cup, who had an amazing run and is the reason why Menard started Capcom Cup and losers, one of the big players to cause that big upset for Menard. Mizuha, the top camming player who actually put Kakeru into losers in CPT Japan. Matsu 56 and Kosa, formerly known as Kabe, who was one of the best performers in the World Warrior Japan series. So this run is legendary, and it's so out of nowhere. Like, just waking up and seeing the results for the tournament, seeing that Lexx was in top 6 was absolutely mind-blowing. But it becomes apparent why after you see the gameplay. But that said, with the first match, we have Ryukichi versus Menard in the top 6 winners side. And up until this point, Menard has looked pretty unstoppable in his run up until top 6. But Ryukichi, with a pixel to his winners tournament life, finds the wake-up super. Gets the confirm here. Mena has the super to react to the DI, so Ryukichi has to be sneaky about applying it. He finds the DI, finds the confirm, and makes the comeback. A pixel away from being eliminated. And look at him. He's about to reach for the water, then he's like, wait, I can't breathe. It takes a long moment to collect himself. Oh man, he is feeling the moment. But I love the frame 1 grab the water. It's his reflex. So many especially top Japanese players, they instantly reach for the water and attempt to drink the water between rounds, between supers. Like it's like a reflex I've noticed. And he goes for it and goes, wait a minute, I can't even, if I try to drink this right now, I'm gonna literally choke on it and cough up everywhere. 2-2 against Menard, who is the biggest challenger Menard has seen thus far his entire bracket run, because he has been cooking this bracket up until this point. But coming into the final round here, Menard with a perfect on the board, finds himself in the corner, backdashes the throw attempt, gets the perfect punish counter conversion, drive rush cancel all the way to the level 3. Menard popping off while the level 3 is going on, because he knows he just secured himself a position in the winners finals of Evo Japan. And Ryukichi, after an amazing run, drops down to the losers bracket. So Menard in a similar position he was previous years. Previously at Evo, he was actually in the loser side before going into top 6 and had to fight his way through the losers bracket and make an amazing run there to get into the grand finals. This time, finds himself in winners finals, a much quicker path to winning the tournament than dropping into losers early, and a much more secure path for him. So you definitely know that was a big win for Menard, but Ryukichi had to drop to losers for that to happen. Now we get to see Lexx versus VX Bao. So if you thought that run from Lexx was all just a fluke, then I don't know what to tell you. First of all, you're a hater, but we have now the evidence live before us. Lexx was cooking. Now, when I tell you that this was a speed run, I'm telling you this was a speed run. VX Bao did have a close game in the second game, but man, there were so many moments where Lexx just applied the offensive pressure, a real rushdown Guile style. You got VX Bao to bite with the throw tech so many times and punish him heavily just like this in the first game, and was kind of just mauling VX Bao this entire set, which led to the final interaction here between VX Bao and Lexx, rushing him down while he's in burnout, runs into the regular amnesia, but secures the air throw from the attempt to jump over him, gets the Odie boom through the fireball, and confidently closes out a 3-0 over VX Bao. And Lexx, from America, JB's brother that most people probably didn't even know existed before today, is in winners finals of Evo Japan going up against Menard. What? Is this real life? I knew how nasty Lexx was, and I still can't believe it. It's just absolutely absurd to see. Really like a fairy tale run here for Lexx, and just shows how his grinding has really been paying off. But that brings us now to this matchup between Lexx and Menard. Menard, he's been in this position before. He is the only two-time Capcom Cup champion, and he knows the Guile matchup inside and out. In fact, Guile was the character that was his final roadblock to qualifying for Capcom Cup after having such a strong season without getting that first place qualifier finish. He ended up using, of course, Blanca against NuckleDu in order to secure his qualification over NuckleDu in the USCPT World Warrior East Regional Final. So he knows that the green boys, the tried and true in this matchup, ignore the scores. It's 2-0 currently for Mena RD. He finds the jump in, secures the grab with the Blanca Chan on the ground, baits out the reversal flash kick. It's just too much guessing, too much pressure for Lexx to handle. That is a 3-0 fast victory over Lexx to get into the grand finals winner side of Evo Japan. And remember when I said that, you know, he was only challenged so far by Ryukichi? That continues up until this point. He's just speed running the competition. It feels like nobody besides Ryukichi had any read whatsoever on Mena RD's offensive momentum, and that continues now. So Lexx drops down to the losers bracket with sharks like this guy, Kakeru. So if you don't know about Kakeru, Mena RD is currently sitting now in grand finals winners side. But over the years, or over this season rather, there have been a few players that have given Mena RD some trouble. Kakeru is a bit different. At Evo in Las Vegas, Mena RD was sent to losers early by Kakeru, which made his run that much more difficult, where he had to claw back from losers to eventually make it to grand finals from the losers side. Then at Gamers 8, the tournament that Kakeru won shortly after Evo, Mena RD was also put to losers, beaten by Kakeru. Then at CPT Singapore, the next chance for Mena RD to potentially qualify, he was put into losers by Kakeru. Up until this point, Mena RD has had 0 set wins in these major tournaments over Kakeru. Every other player who has given Mena RD trouble up until this point, Mena RD has gotten a win over at some point, including Angry Bird, right? Angry Bird, who beat Mena RD in grand finals of Evo USA. Mena RD beat him in the pools of group stages at Capcom Cup to make it out of that group stage. So Kakeru, what's going on with him? Kakeru actually dropped down to losers by Ryukichi. So Ryukichi really having a legendary run. I want to highlight that again, beating Kakeru and Chris Wong back-to-back to make it into the semifinals. So Kakeru drops to losers relatively early. He then has to go up against Hikaru, the best Aki player, super young, #1 ranked on the CFN Aki player. He beats Junior, moves on to the semifinals, where he then goes on to beat Otani. And this is the Kimberly player that he beats here, which is Matsugoro, then Tokido, and then VSPO. Let me get the full name here from Incross. We can verify that shortly. Matsu 56, Tokido, and Liang, who is the top Chinese Blanca player. So he had to go on a crazy run through losers to eventually make his way back into that top 6 position. So he is on a tear before top 6 even begins. Then he goes up against VXBao. Close set, but he eliminates VXBao. Ryukichi, the man who put him into losers originally. Close set, actually not that close, pretty much in Kakeru's favor. Runs it back, eliminates Ryukichi. Then Lexx, you had an amazing run thus far. You beat VXBao in the Guile JP matchup, but Kakeru is the JP, and Kakeru eliminates Lexx 3-0 in the losers finals, which means Mena RD now is in the grand finals position once again. He's been in this position before against Angry Bird at Evo USA, where he lost the set, but eventually got his set win. He now has to face his true Street Fighter 6 demon in Kakeru, the man who he has not been able to win a single major set over so far this season. And it's his chance to finally secure an Evo champion after he was so close earlier in the season. So how does it go? Well, based on that timestamp, it's a speed run. I can't even try to build up the suspense. The whole entire VOD, including the celebration and intro for the players, 8 minutes and 48 seconds for this first of 3. This is an absolute beatdown. Kakeru cannot get a single read on Mena's offensive momentum. Here, Mena is on tournament point for his first Evo championship, lands the meaty, gets the throw game going, and then finally baits the final wake-up option with the wake-up amnesia with the forward jump. Mena RD gets his tournament set win over Kakeru for the first time, does the chop of the neck right there, and secures his first ever Evo championship as the Evo 2024 Evo Japan champions. Snatches up that trophy. Menard. Really putting the cap to his extremely dominant season. After coming so close in so many major premieres, he finally got the big one. And really, it's interesting to see how dominant he is, because his level of dominance just doesn't exist beyond Menard. We see so many other players who have come close to that level of dominance throughout the season, but don't tend to hold that momentum where Menard has. And if we take a look at his results throughout the season, right? Red Bull Kumite 2024 absolutely smoked the competition there right before heading off to Evo Japan. And then Capcom Cup was actually his worst performance. He got 13th at Capcom Cup. This was actually bad for Menard, but he lost to Lexx in groups and had objectively the hardest group stage, and then lost to Fudo in the top 16, which was a really rough draw. But that was definitely a really bad performance, and not shown here. Teams, Street Fighter League USA champion and Street Fighter League World champion also during the Capcom Cup week. So super dominant in that forum. And then you can see here throughout the CPT season, the actual offline CPT season, 2nd at CPT France, 4th at CPT Singapore. And then, of course, he had the 2nd for Evo as well, which was huge. And then 5th place at Gamers 8. So for Street Fighter 6, even CEO early on, no one in the world has come close to this level of consistency in Street Fighter 6. So you can make an argument for a few players to be near his level, but no one has demonstrated this level of consistency. And I believe firmly that Menard has cemented himself as the strongest Street Fighter 6 player to date as of Season 1. He's undoubtedly the GOAT of Street Fighter 6 Season 1, as the previous and final Street Fighter 5 champion. Many people were wondering if he would be able to adapt to the new game. I think he's proved beyond a doubt that he has adapted the best out of anyone on the planet at this point. The consistency speaks for itself, but that all may change come May 22nd. So as we close out the first season of Street Fighter 6, with May 22nd, we get Akuma and a Season 2 balance patch. It'll be interesting to see if Menard can keep up this level of consistency, keep up this level of dominance, how he will adapt again to a new meta. You know, he did it going from Street Fighter 5 over to Street Fighter 6. Now can he do it from Street Fighter 6 Season 1 going over to Street Fighter 6 Season 2? Only time will tell, but it's interesting to see how Menard will perform in the face of these challenges, and how the competitive meta will change in the next coming month. So that's all I had for this video. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this discussion, what you think of Evo Japan and Menard's run, and that's about it. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.